Okay, I've run this backpack blower for about 15 or 20 minutes, and that's what the customer said, is that runs fine, and I was almost done. I mean, I blew my entire driveway, side of the yard, the backyard, and then finally it started to lose some power. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's take that inside and let's take a look at a couple of things. Okay, conventional wisdom would tell you that if after running it for, I mean, literally 15 minutes, and then it starts acting up, and it ran fine, revved, wide open throttle was constant, and then starts hiccuping, you know, that's indicative of an ignition coil that's starting to build up resistance. You know, it never dies. It doesn't shut off. It'll completely lose spark, but I think, and it's possible, the other thing it can be is a carburetor. Now, I've checked the fuel. Here, let me grab my light. The fuel's clear as a bell in there. You know, I've got about a quarter tank of fuel in there. We'll take a look at the fuel filter to make sure there's no blockages. But again, you'd be hard pressed to not ignore the ignition coil. They're really expensive, just like the carburetors. They're freakishly expensive. I've got a spare OEM coil for this. We're gonna try that. I'm not 100% sure that's gonna solve the problem, but at least I'll be able to, because I don't have an absolute failure. So let's swap out this coil and see if we end up with the same results. Okay, so I've got it loosely on there. We're going to have to gap. I use this manila cardstock. It's about 9 thousandths. See if we can get you in there a little bit. A little cloudy there. But that's accurate enough. 8 to 10 thousandths is where we need to live. So what we're going to do is slide this in here. I may have to take you off, but anyway, that's almost there. Let me lift up on this just a little bit. Once that's in there, we'll take our magnets, line them up, and then ever so gently just hand snug, hand snug, hand snug, and then torque. So that way, because you've got to have that air gap, that's what creates your spark. Okay, those are torqued down. Don't forget to connect your ground wire. That's for your kill switch. And then always snake this in. Whenever there's a place to tuck your wires in, it's for a good reason. You don't want those wires getting caught on anything, chafing, rubbing, whatever. I'm not going to put this all the way back together. I'm just going to, this actually spins over clockwise. So I can put a 13mm socket on my drill, spin this over and start it, and we can run it without having to put the housing on this. And just to mention, I did adjust the valves while I was here. They were super duper close, but minor adjustment. But that wasn't our issue. It ran fine, but since I got the cover off, and even though Stihl's nice enough nowadays to give you an easy access to do your regular maintenance. Again, any of the 4-mix stuff, depend upon how hard you use it, once or twice a year, do your valve adjustments. Well, it only took about 7.5 minutes of run time, and we ended up with the same issue. So we're gonna swap the carb out. You know, and this kind of failure was almost a sure thing on the BR600, BR700s. And the reason why I have this spare coil is because the last time this happened to me on a BR800, it was not in fact the ignition coil, it was the carburetor. So we'll get a carburetor on the way, and hopefully that'll fix it. All right, got the old carb off, new carb on, and you'll notice this right here. So your braided cable for your throttle line stretches over time. So you can see here, I've got that kind of play before I actually engage. There's a flathead right there where you can tighten that up, and that will take the slack out of your throttle cable. In order to get this carb box housing off, you've got one screw up top, one screw right here. Don't forget you've got a contact that needs to stay in place. And then there's one sneaky one down here in the bottom. It's kind of shrouded, and I'll show you that when we get it put back together. Oof. Mercy. Anyway, this thing doesn't have a whole lot of runtime on it, and it sure is disappointing. It is past its warranty, but this belongs to a commercial guy, but it's his at-home blower, so it doesn't have a ton of miles on it. Pretty disheartening to have to replace a carburetor that expensive on a very well taken care of blower. Anyway, this will cure the problem. We'll get it put back together and go run it. All right, got those two screws. Let me back out a little bit. In there, nice and snug, don't get crazy. Your kill switch wires are down through here, and then when you set your throttle cable and kill switch harness wires, tuck it into this one first, and then that one, because that's your positive stop right there. So that way everything's lined up nice and neat. And then you're ready to, you've got one fine thread screw that goes here, because you're screwing into a brass insert right there. And then this one's plastic, so it's coarse. And then this one, sneaky, where you at? Down there, all the way in the back. Kind of hard to see. There it is. Anyway, so that's where your other core screw goes. Okay, easy peasy. All right, got the carb swapped out on it. Everything seems to be fine. Ran it for about 10 minutes and it never wavered on full throttle. So let's just check it one more time, make sure it wasn't a fluke. All right, we're on to the next one. I hope that helps somebody. The diagnostics, like I said, are curiously different than the BR600 and 700s when it comes to that. It'll run for 10 minutes and then act up. That's a new one on me. But anyway, hopefully this will help somebody, and found this moderately entertaining, then go ahead and give me a like for that. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Thanks, and have a great day.